There are pieces of you that are lost for days. There are pieces of you that are lost for months. There are pieces of you that are lost for years. There are pieces of you that are lost for generations that span lifetimes, that are timelines on their own. You will find them in the lonely hours, in the moments of rest. Breathe into yourself. taking root,
in the flesh,
taking root,
in the flesh,
taking root,
in the flesh.
Laroye Mojuba. I am the child of the waters and earth. Oreye Yeo, be here with us, Oyoun. Please teach me how to flow like water flows. Calm waters that produce riches, that digs the sand and discovers great riches, great fortunes. May I be the pumpkin that holds my treasures. May I be the force that builds what needs to be built. May I be the force that destroys what needs to be destroyed. The troubled river, it is not deceiving, it warns you. It is the calm water that kills people. May I be the healer, the fresh water, the prosperity. Taking root
in the flesh,
taking root
in the flesh,
taking root
in the flesh.
Death, births, grandmothers, mothers, freedom, darkness. I was told not to. Tears, friends, birth, water, choking, life, rainbow, offerings, sing, home, throat, touch, shame, voice, existence, feelings, skin, mouth, heart, hands, pleasure, whole, touch, breath, dragon, taking roots,
In the flesh,
taking roots,
In the flesh,
taking roots,
in the flesh.
dear womb of the pumpkin, dear plant ancestors, by the brightness of your variety of colors, by the sheltered darkness of your inner center, by the deliciousness of your taste, may the frozen stories of my beloved grandmothers melt into the vibrant flow of life again. May all feelings of being half melt into one water of trust. Trust in belonging to exactly the place, the time, and the DNA ancestry that I am in right now. Taking root
in the
flesh,
taking root,
in the flesh,
taking root.
in the flesh.
We imbibe in the fecund flesh, swelling firm, sweet on the tongue like happiness, serotonin, tryptophan. We indulge, and the flesh encompasses, holding the seeds of future paths, new worlds waiting to sprout, regenerate, crawling across the earth, climbing fences, staying humble, rooted, conquering all, abiding in abundance. Between two thighs, worshipping a womb, eat me. Rooted
In the flesh.
Taking root
In
the
flesh.
taking root
In the flesh.
Ago.
Welcome to Ancestral Body Noise, everyone. I am Gugulethu Duma, also known as Dumama, and I'd like to extend a huge thank you to the participants for inviting us into this sacred ritual. I'm honored to have been a part of it. I'm honored to have been a part of the ritual of release and to extend the sacred space that we have been nestled in for a 6-week
Welcome
period.
to
Ancestral Body Noise, everyone. I am Gugulethu Duma. It has been nothing short of amazing, and if you are tuning into Ancestral Body Noise for the first time, this process, this residency, was aimed at artists working on processing their own ancestral technology and unraveling embodied memory and seeing how ancestry and in a non-archaic way, in a non-linear way, serves to function in their expressive, enchanting, and invigorating lives. And also to work through and process the trauma of being of a marginalized demographic on this here planet. So together we engaged in the power of a collective creativity developed amidst political and social resistance in a time of social distancing, and tried to really cultivate a sense of intimacy and connectedness. And to be honest, I'm at a complete loss for words at the feeling that's coming up for me right now, because I feel very much like I'm there with them, and I'm all the way in Cape Town, South Africa. So tell me about the magic of time travel and ancestral unraveling and reconnection and connecting. It's usually something that we experience on our own or within our family contexts or within the work that we do. And I guess what we wanted to do was really explore those inner sanctuaries with strangers who are actually family and who are actually friends. So what you've witnessed and are going to continue to witness is a group of remarkable creatives unraveling this last 6-week process that we've been on through their own mediums. Each person present is interdisciplinary, multidimensional, and expansive, amplifying critical narratives, messages, and transmitting a wisdom that's actually quite difficult to put into words. I honor each person here today for committing to practices that have been demonized, committed to preserving a connection with the present and with the infinite, collaborating with many elements, traversing many elements, living within their beings. I celebrate each and every one of you guys as ancestors. These are the cultures responsible for creating enchantment that heals, facilitating a connection with, an infinite consciousness. And I guess that's where I'm at in my life now. That's what I'm looking for. No more surface interactions. There's too many layers. There's too many layers, and there's too much healing living beneath those layers. And so I thank you guys for honoring that truth and for saying yes, not only to this call, but also to yourselves and to your ancestry and to your needs and to your truth. Together we have taken our minds and put them in our hearts and put them in our feet and put them in our hands and put them in our words and put them in our voices. And I couldn't be more honored. With all that being said, I would like to now announce and call upon Suelen, who's going to share a piece of her process with us titled, I Call Upon. Suelen Calonga, are we ready? Sounds like we're having a technical difficulty. Suelen?
I pray
Getting
to
mixed
the
messages.
blossomed seed, then to the principle, then to all possibilities. I pray to Yami Aye. I pray to Yami Aje Eleye. I, beauty of the green earth and white moon within stars, I call upon the souls come to me, giving birth to the universe. May my worship be in the rejoicing hearts, all acts of love and pleasure, are my rituals. I honor Yami Oshoronga. I honor Eshu Odara La Roye. I honor Ye Oshun and all the domains of life and death. The 7 birds that have landed on sacred trees. 3 in the trees of good. 3 in the trees of bad. And 1 going from one to another. I praise the river goddess, spirit who cleanses from the inside out. Fresh water, water that refreshes and moistens the earth. Water that refreshes and soaks the house. That purifies the heads with fresh water. That turns an unhappy head into a happy head. That cools the hot heads. Energetic water with masculine strength. Active healer and sorcerers. In tune like the old birds. Gracious Mother, Mistress of cool waters. The water that swiftly kills by will. Full of wisdom. I am child of the waters and earth. Yea, may you teach me to flow like water flows. Calonga. May all the sandstorm and quicksand be removed from my eyes and my feet. She who has neither bone nor blood, but who gives us blood and bones, and dresses herself in garments of blood, and when angered, feed on blood and guts. The troubled river is not a trickster, it warns before. It's the calm water that kills people. The old bird has not forgotten the fire. The sick bird has not forgotten the ground. My respect to the deep water. Salutations to the spirit of the old mother who flows in the river towards destroying the halls of the false and the liars. She who, even though she's in the deepest darkness of the waters, the brightness of her eyes has reached me. The children of the waters are full of enchantments in the words. Calm waters that produce riches, that digs the sand and discovers great fortunes. Water that improves the head that is bad and turn the bad head into good head that runs smoothly and invades the house of the enemies. The one who cures illness only with fresh water. The one who gives prosperity enough to give us life. Her power comes from the depth of the water. Deep waters flowing from the earth. She knows all the secrets but reveals them to no one. Water that no one can carry in their arms. Water that no one can hold. Water that flows without stopping. They are here. Mojubala roye shuodara. I call upon you and ask for your blessings. Greetings to all the Yami elders of the waters and the earth. I call upon you and ask for your blessings. Salutations to my mother Oyoun and greatest elder Yalode Oromimayo. I call upon you and ask for your blessings. Who knows the way will join me.
Woo! Suelen Calonga, everybody. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Suelen's ability to work with sound and an image in this way of poetic image production is remarkable. And her commitment to the epistemological turn to an anti-racist education is poignant and felt, and I've at least felt it in every single conversation we've had. She's committed to decolonial Black knowledge in Brazil and her ongoing research crosses intellectual, political, and poetic experiences and interests from previous investigations with her spiritual journey linked to the Afro-Brazilian cult Candomblé. And this is felt, and it culminates in the independent, and it culminated in the independent restitution of cultural and liturgical heritage, which she discovered in Germany. She was, her master's thesis project was one of looting. And she documented that whole process in I Am the Archive. She's incredible, and we thank you for your contributions and your commitment to anti-racist spiritual practices and remixing the epistemological oppressions. Thank you so, so much. And yeah, I think next up, we're going to give it up for KooCha, born Aisha Konate, with a live ritual performance, which she has carefully threaded, composed, and carried throughout this process. And she'll be sharing it with us live from Oyoun right now. Thank you again, Suelen, for that awesome audiovisual archival experience. And yeah, see you guys on the other side. Enjoy KooCha, Aisha Konate. Aisha Konate is still setting up. And I think what I'll do then is just introduce Aisha Konate, who has been a tender and strong and unbelievable presence in this residency process. Her soft power and wisdom has held the space in unimaginable ways, and her vulnerability in sharing her experiences as a performer in various collectives and as a voice and movement activist and a co-organizer of the Queer Feminist International Dance Festival, Cuerpos Políticos. Aisha is interested in encounters, contradictions, intersectionalities of bodies in their political contexts, establishing alliances and solidarity with the body. Her methods include buto and composition, vocal sampling, and a whole lot of other movement practices. She studied cultural studies, but she is so much more than all of those things. I'll talk a little bit more about her once she's done. Let me just check in with my team to see if we are ready for her. And like I said, I am in Cape Town and they are in Berlin. So we are performing a huge miracle. This is a miraculous encounter. Okay, let's hear what my team has to say. Okay, we're still fixing the projector. And it's almost time. And we're just gonna keep it real, guys. Like, no one had imagined when we were in the middle of this residency process that we would have to do it like this, that we would have to do it from far, that people wouldn't be able to come and sit around a circle and encounter the ritual relationships that we are uncovering. This is our second iteration of Ancestral Body Noise. For those of you who have attended the first one, you'll see how different it is and how much we've had to assimilate and adapt to what we're experiencing as a planet. And that has its challenges and predominantly technical and chaotic, but we work with them and we flow with them, which is awesome when you work with people that you trust, when we've cultivated a sense of trust and presence in the ways that we have, we're able to adapt. But that's what we're doing. a story that I can share about my experience with Aisha is in one of the sessions in our residency, because we were all obviously in our homes, speaking from our homes. She said she'd switch off her view of herself in the Zoom meeting and only be looking at other people, because the feeling of looking at yourself in a space, in cyberspace with others, and then leaving that space and closing your computer and realizing you are actually here, was just too much of a psychedelic and displacing feeling. And when she shared that, I think we all resonated. And since that dazzling insight, I think my Zoom encounters have changed significantly. And so she continues with her activism, even in uncomfortable digital intimacy Zoom experiences. So we give thanks for you, Aisha Konate, and we're going live with you now.
Well, look, here we go. By the time we get to the end of the story, we know more than we did at the beginning.
Oh, it went like a stab through my heart, and now something flew into my eye. No, there was nothing to see, but it was not gone. It was just one of those splinters of glass that had jumped off the mirror, the magic mirror. We probably still remember it, which caused everything great and good that was reflected in it to become small and ugly, and every mistake in a thing to become immediately noticeable. The poor thing, such a splinter had also just penetrated her heart. That was now about to become like a lump of ice. Now it didn't hurt, but there it was. The Snow Queen kissed her one last time. Then she had forgotten everything. She looked at her. She was beautiful. She could not imagine a smarter, more graceful face. Now she did not seem to her like a figure made of ice. In her eyes, she was a perfect being. It's okay to be petite, I said. It's okay to be petite.
My heart in the highlands, my Il n'y a pas de dignité sans liberté. Car tout assujettissement nous préférons la pauvreté dans la liberté à la richesse dans l'esclavage.
That was incredible. Thank you so much. Like, I was like shaking in my seat a little bit, and I'm just dying to ululate, but we've just put the child to bed and I'm ululating with my entire, like all of my insides. Every single organ is just twerking and ululating for what I've just witnessed. Thank you so, so much, Aisha Konate. Just being with Aisha on this journey, and hearing all the different sounds she was making. And she shared some of them in the podcast. If you haven't listened to our podcast yet, please do. Ancestral Body Noise on Oyouniverse. So in earlier weeks, each participant had to generate 3 pieces of sound and bring them along to the podcast and share a little bit why this soundscape in particular is important. And it was just so incredible to see how the soundscapes that Aisha had chosen, you know, expanded and developed and merged with some of the sounds that she grew up listening to, and developed into this narrative of her exploring her ancestry from Guinea-Bissau and her German ancestry. And when the process started, she called both of her grandmothers from either side. And I felt that tension, and I felt that harmony, and that presence so profoundly. I even got a message from Madhu saying she's a mountain, but she is also gentle, a mountain of a spirit, and yeah, mountain soul, a gentle mountain soul. Yes. Incredible. Thank you again, Aisha, for that soft and poignant power. You are awesome. So good. And we'll chat more about as much as we can chat about in the panel discussion. So those of you listening in, please don't go anywhere. And please post some questions in whichever streaming platform you're streaming through so that we can engage with you. Next up, we have Yin Cheng-Kokott, Taiwanese multidisciplinary performance artist with a film. She's going to share her ritual via film. Enjoy. such a deeply moving film and performance, choreography, soundscape, creative direction from Yin. Wow, yes, that one really took the wind out of me. You know, having been so involved and so present with Yin, and I guess with everyone else, and having gone through this process together, and reconnecting with the voice and understanding what the theme of the voice means in Yin's life and Yin's ancestry, and hearing how and seeing how and feeling how Yin worked with silence and voice and sound, and the way that the tensions were reflected and articulated with this like very hard guttural but still muted sound, with the tenderness of these flowers and these soft movements of surrender. Yes, like, wow, unforgettable. I cannot wait to watch these performances and videos again and again and again. Thank you so much, Yin, for your profound commitment, and just your vulnerability, and honesty, just like sharp, present truth. Wow. So we'll talk a little bit more with Yin and with the other participants about what we've witnessed and about what has come up, and just about what's been going on and what is going on in the Q&A. So if you're tuning in now, or if you've been tuned in, stay tuned in, because we're going to get into a dialogic exchange a little bit later. But just to share a little bit about who Yin is. Yin is a contemporary dancer who has trained in Gaga and various other somatic practices since she moved to Berlin 5 years ago. She is a Taiwanese multidisciplinary performance artist, and yeah, she has a plethora of collaborations. She started teaching yoga, combined dance, qigong, and tarot. And so her spiritual practices form a huge part of her artistic practice. Yin brought her grandmother into this ancestral body noise process, and shared about how her grandmother often brought her and her sister to the local temple that she's been going to since she could remember, and has shared so openly about what that temple has meant to her growing up, and how it was always full of people and full of faith, and what her relationship with ritual is and has been, was really rooted in that consistent practice with her grandmother. And yeah, we feel it. We feel it in the tenderness of how she shares. So we'll speak a little bit more. I don't want to release any spoilers, and I'd like Yin to share a bit more about where she comes from herself. Yeah, and she's processed a lot here. She's processed an unconscious rejection of cultures and languages and inheritances, and has gone deep into the generational colonized propaganda of being Taiwanese. And yeah, and she's sort of gone through this psycho-spiritual and political unraveling and excavational process that's now connected to her to the body and the rhythm of herself and the cells. And yeah, her practice has evolved exponentially since we initially connected. And yes, I am really looking forward to chatting some more later. And now I'd like to introduce the shadow archivist, also known as Indrani Ashe, and I'm so excited for this live performance. And I'll share a little bit more about who she is and why her practice invigorates me so much after it. But for now, enjoy.
Recovery from the coronavirus, which I caught working in a kindergarten. I was spending 20 minutes a day imbibing in my ancestral technology with Adrienne. And she had what I needed to indulge, free and accessible all the time in an infinite variety. Even these 20 minutes felt like a luxury of consistent practice, which I should be feeding my art with. I knew this habit wouldn't last past the holidays. It's about her big house in Texas with the dog called Benji. You can see how big and beautiful the rooms are, that she can afford a sparsely decorated yoga studio without unnecessary storage or furniture poking in the frame. Has she even had to move in the past 5 years? The rooms change and stay the same. She's a beautiful American girl next door who could imagine becoming a movie actress in the 90s and 2000s when she began to choose her path.
My hair's all asymmetrical. I did a movie last year and they cut it asymmetrical and I haven't got a haircut yet. Because I'm just going with the flow. It's 2013, baby.
But it's not even easy for these likable white girls to become movie stars. Did Adrienne marry well? Whose house is that? Can she really afford to hire a cameraman for every shoot?
Yeah.
Or was that her partner at some point? In the newer videos, I have noticed that there is a little layer of puffiness on her upper arms, even though she must be doing yoga all day long. I have also noticed she started wearing shirts with sleeves. Coincidence or evidence of the incompatibility of yoga distribution methods with body positivity? To be honest, I'm just waiting to mimic one of those 70s magazine covers with a white model and a unitard from the moment when they first started to take yoga from us. A secret little clap back to Adrienne. I'm waiting for the little piece of fat on my belly that I've had since birth to be brutally removed by months of diet and exercise, so the image will be considered beautiful and people will press the heart. And someone will know about my art practice. I don't think it's fair to say that I'm the one who lacks body positivity just for realizing this. It's the algorithm. But I love Adrienne. She can afford to produce thousands of hours of online content for free. What I need. I remember one time I heard about a BPOC yoga class, and it took me an hour to get there and find out that it was canceled and an hour to get back. I felt bad about wasting a morning that should have been used for my art practice or else laundry and groceries. I decided that I often can't afford to do things based solely on principle. And I am okay with this. Adrienne can afford to make years of free videos and become the internationally known master of my ancestral technology.
If you feel humbled today, let's have a little giggle.
I remember when I started to do yoga with Adrienne and her name just popped up randomly among friends. Oh, you also are doing yoga with Adrienne? So, you see, I'm happy to leverage her privilege against my lack. Hey, let's be real. It takes lifetime commitment to master ancestral technologies, to study the Mughal miniature, yoga, classical Indian dance, or music. Lifetimes I used up studying art in the West, where I was born, moving between countries and sublets, learning languages, finding and keeping money jobs, applying for visas. My mom was able to study Bharatanatyam dance in a basement in Jackson Heights, Queens, New York, for a short time in high school, before she did summer school at NC State and met my father. You can see from the photos, she was a pretty good dancer. I grew up in the South, so I wasn't really able to study at a temple. I would have liked to study this form of dance, but my father would have been opposed because of his religion. I suffered nerve damage in my hands as a child, so I never would have been able to straighten my fingers for the mudras anyway. When I was allowed to see my mother again, I danced around one summer in her living room in a Detroit public housing project to the Sinead O'Connor album, Universal Mother. One time, I was dancing at an outdoor festival, and an Indian couple came up to my mother and asked her where I took dance lessons. I know enough about Indian dance to take a photo or impress people who don't know anything, but not enough to impress anyone who spent a lifetime studying it. I'm a little sad as I write about this topic. I'm tearing up and getting a little headache. I'll have to do one of Adrienne's 20-minute detox sessions after this. What I have is a remnant, whether genetic or inherited, like my mother's gift for telling the story in the most provocative and emotionally visceral way, like Arundhati Roy's gift for polemic, but not internationally recognized. It's like the taste or obsession of my mother and her sisters for textiles in bright colors and patterns, fights over borrowed clothing, gifting secondhand, and who wore it first. Aunt Angela dyeing her clothes in the basement, in the 70s, to be followed by myself dyeing my clothes in the basement in high school, to be followed by myself spending 5 years dyeing, stitching, and pitching textile art in Indonesia. I didn't learn how to do batik. I had a money job. What I have is a taste for the monstrous feminine. I learned from my Andrina's paintings and icons of Kali with her tongue out, dancing naked with bloodlust. The most grotesque moment is the most visceral moment, is the most vulnerable moment, is the most powerful moment. It's a chance to make you feel what I feel, which is real. I hold on to these remnants of ancestral technologies. I can't regurgitate, reproduce, or repeat. So I just refashion them into my art practice to imagine that I belong to them. I mean, my ancestors.
And that was Indrani. Incredible. And also so direct and blunt. I appreciate this unique brand of hue creativity that Indrani Ashe brings to this residency program, and the way she explores her ancestry is anything but linear. It's very rooted and responds to a world in which transnational histories and hybrid identities have been strategically marginalized and erased. But there is still this light-hearted detachment, but very critical engagement with that. And you know, she's wrestling these narratives from hegemonical structures. She creates necessary mythologies, but she's also doing like live documenting and putting her finger on the pulse of what's happening, and still really honoring what is happening in her day-to-day life as a woman of color, you know, who's the founder of the Berlin Diaspora Society. It's so impressive. I can't wait to get into the conversation later with the Q&A. But before we get to that, I'd like to introduce Sailesh Naidu's ritual and film. And yeah, we'll speak about Sailesh afterwards because, again, words escape me. Just a phenomenal and multidimensional spirit who says, this was definitely my first time. This is definitely my first time as a human being, because before this, I was probably an element, and I was most definitely traversing as an amorphous body of light, and I believe it. So enjoy Sailesh's film. I also cannot wait to experience it with you all.
I want you to remember the feeling. Hidden in dreams. The visions that seem like memory. They are fragments. They're truths. They're timelines. Is it enough to believe you're conjured? On slabs of stone, grinding cardamom into sweets? Is it enough to believe you're a melody? A hymn sung by wild women bearing fruit? Is it enough to believe you are beyond all the dreams your ancestors could ever fathom? On this hill, on this battleground, every day can feel like an ending, can feel like a storm, can feel like a collapse into the body was never meant to be. An archive for this much grief, never meant to ferment this much rage into silence. Bubbling to the top of every cry, of every soured scream, is a corpse ready to surrender. But do you remember the heartbeat? The breath speaking a language without a tongue. The places that have no path to follow. You were a prayer once, cast into an ocean, not knowing the wave it would become, not knowing shedding all that you were would ignite a resurrection. But do you remember the beauty? Buried inside all that you laid on this pyre will burn in ashes. You are and always have been the greatest of unravelings, of prophecies foretold. Forgive yourself for all the ways you have fallen, all the ways you could not move. You were merely a seed pressed into soil, not knowing what pulled you to the sun was something so cosmic, so deeply understood, it could not be born until it was ready to become.
Oh my goodness, goosebumps. Oh my goodness. So many lifetimes contained in this one being, so many lifetimes traversed by this one being because of that. So many revelations. Thank you so much, Sailesh Naidu, for just committing to being a shapeshifter and a soul shaker. Shake it like a soul shaker, shake it like a soul shaker. Whoa. I wrote some standout bits down that came up for me. Is it enough to believe you were conjured? Big question. Is it enough to believe you were a melody or you were the beyond? Yes, a corpse ready to surrender. Beautiful soundscaping, with the presence of all of your ancestors creating that music. Beautiful stitching work, direction, the choreography, the makeup, the artistry was, just such a remarkable ritual. And having experienced you from week to week and hearing and seeing the world you conjure with your words and your curiosities and your presence has done the utmost, and I am moved and deeply, deeply humbled. And with that being said, in preparation for the Q&A, there's a little short video work coming up by me, an exploration of the chaos of ritual in collaboration with my friend and sister, Black Banana, who has designed the posters for Ancestral Body Noise and who's been working with me since the beginning of Ancestral Body Noise. I'm staying with her now here in Cape Town, and we are pretty damn sure that we have an ancestor in common. But yes, we're going to put that video up now for the next 10 minutes and enjoy. See you on the other side for the Q&A.
enjoy the next couple of minutes with some incredible artwork from Black Banana as we prepare for the Q&A. Prepare your questions in the live stream. We'll be listening. We'll be listening. Thank you for being present here with us. These strange times. I'm Dumama. Wherever you are, hold your heart and give it up for Indrani Ashe, Suelen Calonga, Yin Cheng-Kokott.
Sailesh Naidu, Ancestral Body and the ancestors they've brought to us today. Blessings abundant. See you in a couple of minutes.
Urgent, purge alone, unearthing infinite darkness, surrounded by infinite darkness deep inside.
A birth releasing, observant, patient, nothing is simple in ritual. Layers and lifelines await you. Will this loop continue?
Woo! Please, can we just like give a round of applause? Even like you guys sitting over there, give a round of applause for yourselves and for everything. I want to do like the hand claps. Wow.
It's just a delay on the audio.
There'll be a slight delay, but oh my God, thank you guys so much for being who you are. Like, I cannot say it enough. Thank you to every single one of you. How this panel discussion is going to flow is I'm going to ask each person a question, and you'll share where you're at. And then if anyone has a question for me, we can do that. And then as soon as I'm in Berlin, the real tea is going to go down, and we're probably going to all disintegrate and turn into the stars in my backdrop and just like burn holes in the sky, because the power of this connection is wild. And I'm pretty sure you guys are burning holes in the sky in Berlin right now with that ritual that you've just shared. But yeah, wow, I'm totally taken. Let's start with Indrani. Do you have a mic in your hand?
Yeah, here's the mic.
Awesome. So Indrani, how are you doing? Let's start there.
I'm glad I finished. It was a big process and a lot of work to get here. And with the residency, it was like our research process, and then we actually had to make the work. So it's amazing to be like, okay, I've got there now.
Yes.
And not worried about pieces coming together. So it's satisfying.
Yeah, it was really satisfying and very emotional. Like, you know, I was laughing, I was sad, I was angry at damn Adrian. And yeah, you took me through all the processes and articulated a feeling that I felt engaging with Adrian myself. I love, firstly, that you referred to getting COVID as the holiday once the holiday is over. And yeah, all of the nuanced observations about Adrian and the commentary on ancestral technology. Yeah, it was really, really moving. And how you also just, documented your experience of being a woman of color, the process of finding and keeping money jobs. I really love how you weaved all of that in. And your practice is so deeply intersectional and layered. And you had such an intense relocation in the midst of the research residency as well. And I wonder how this residency has functioned in your life and in your artistic processing of your ancestry and your sense of conceptualizing community. Yeah, it was, at least for me, quite an abstract way of connecting the way we did it. And yeah, I'm wondering how that process was for you. And was there anything in particular you were seeking with the development of your ritual? Like, how are you engaging with that?
Well, I had some pieces that I was working on before, whereas I was meant to be performance and interdisciplinary, whereas I was performing against projection and with video work and performance. So I was continuing that, and I was struck by these words in the call about ancestral technology. Like, do you have access to your ancestral technology? Do you have something that's yours that other people don't have? And I had these like difficult feelings about that, right? So that was my source for writing and creating this. And I'm glad that this residency gave me the space to make something you know, like if I didn't have a space to perform or have an event that I was producing something for, I would not have made this piece, or I would have made it at a later time. But this, like, you know, pushed me, like, as in I had a deadline, I had a space to perform, and then I made this piece. I was able to make this piece because of that. The residency was really challenging to devote that much time to my art practice, and a lot of it just like process, not having exact results in mind, but just trying, experimenting different things. So that was really challenging, exhausting for me. Right. But it was a good thing to do, yeah, for a short amount of time, and then to produce something from it. It's like usually I have to run a much tighter ship, you know what I mean? So I felt happy to have this opportunity to push myself and a space to produce my work, but also a way to push myself to experiment. Because at the end of the piece, well, basically it was different. It was different because of our residency process. I did the piece differently than I would have done before.
The ancestral technology that we carry, the multitudes that we have to walk with and negotiate with, and silence and wrestle with within a system that is also presenting its own challenges, is in and of itself incredibly exhausting. I can say that in my experience, for sure, that's the thing. And I find that in a lot of my creative engagements, that is mirrored, you know? And yeah, I'm just, yeah, a lot of the time creating art and creating ritual in this process of like excavating and releasing, you know, it's not always like this, you know, light and easeful bed of roses experience. And I'm really grateful to you for bringing grit, texture, and truth to that, and illuminating that reality, as challenging as it is. I have, yeah, the utmost respect for, you know, honoring every stage of your reality and every stage of your process in the ways that you do. So thank you.
Thank you so much. And just my motivation behind that is just the same thing that makes yoga like this luxury that people indulge in. It's the same thing that makes like being an artist is for wealthy and privileged people. So I feel like I want to push the intersectional and the economic to the surface, because it highlights, or it shows like, oh, in this system, you're only telling certain stories, and that's not interesting. Actually, we should, you know, we should actually, this kind of cream of the crop, only these stories, that's not interesting, and that's not real yoga, and that's not, you know, real art if it's only like this stories of luxury and privilege, you know?
Sure. I feel that. Well, thank you so much for those illuminations and for bringing those important tensions and realities to the surface. Thank you. And maybe we can, on the subject of tensions, hand the mic over to Aisha, whose performance was just like, I felt these tensions of the ancestry you invited into the process, your two grandmothers being explored and reflected, and this ancestry of the German and Guinea-Bissau maternal pool, and also the historical pool, and how those two worlds are positioned within this planet, and working with, ice, and definitely the theme of mountain kept coming up, and mirrors and melting. Like how was the process for you of designing this ritual, and where did it take you, and how did you connect with your ancestral technology?
I have to think now, and I just there's so much in this. Okay, it was intense. I'm super happy that it's over. My grandma said. I was in, I don't know, like when we started the residency. I think the last 2 months were like very up and down with a lot of different parts in my life, and so in a way I feel that like whatever is around and holding me, but there was something guiding me through this, and I feel so glad that now it's over, right? And also it was very touching for myself to do the performance and to have the whole process with everyone, and to to round it today. It's perfect. I feel good, and I feel really like I had so many how do you say Selbstzweifel, doubts. Like I don't know. I mean, like sometimes I'm like, wow, how is it possible that people can have so many doubts? Like, does anyone have all time doubts? Normally, I be like, yes. But it's so incredible. Like, I was really going through this. What am I doing? It's horrible. They're like, no, you're doing it for your grandma. Yeah, but it's on stage. Like, perspectives also on stage and on ritual. So this was a lot what I was going through and asking myself, and it was very enriching to be in exchange with you all, and with my dear friends who leaded me through this whole process. Thank you so much for understanding me the last days. And that's it for the moment.
Awesome. It's been really wonderful to be on this journey with you, and to feel like you to receive your vulnerability and your tenderness and your honesty, and there was always like still this like very strong sense of curiosity and presence and truth, but there was always this tenderness and this softness that I'm super grateful for. And I remember earlier in the residency process, you brought up this feeling I hadn't even noticed about myself, about interacting with yourself on Zoom, well, in the Zoom room, and how strange the feeling of being in a circle with people in your computer and feeling like you are now in company, and then having to mute your own camera, or like remove your view of yourself, and then returning to your lonely room after a 6-hour process and being like, whoa, I feel like I was with people but now I'm not. And that switch up, and sort of like being confronted by the loneliness and the isolation, but still feeling like this strong sense of togetherness and tenderness. I wonder if you can share a little bit more about that before we hand the mic to Suelen.
Yeah, I think you already said everything. That's it. It felt sometimes weird, or I mean, these times with a lot of different people that are having this kind of conversations via Zoom, and actually we all never met before. So I don't know if you shared it before in your little introduction, but I think it's really crazy that we started as virtual beings all together, and that now we're real. I don't know, it's something really science fiction because we were sitting there and you're still a science fiction with your bookshelf. I love it. But also I feel that I really would like to meet you for real, to know that you really exist. Because everything changed, I think. When we met first also, I felt like, oh, wow, I felt like birth again. And before it like I do a process for my own with others, but like I don't know, it was also like we are very connected through the Zoom and also through your lead guidance and everything. I felt the connection, but yeah, I felt it was really weird to not feel everyone. And so yeah, that's but and so I'm also very thankful that this is existing and that we could do this residency through Zoom, because I learned so much. Also through this being alone and being with others at the same time. It was very new experience and very enriching for me. And thank you so much for your presence.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I also cannot wait to feel like I'm in Earth again, because I'm getting very bored of Neptune at the moment, and I'm very ready to come join you guys on planet Earth and to just like feel your matter and to see how tall you guys are, how short you guys are, and hug you and feel how that feels, and smell you and move through space together and like look into your real eyes, you know. But it's also really phenomenal to feel like I know each and every one of you, and to also feel like you know me through these processes that we've been through over the weeks. So yeah, thank you. And I'm gonna ask Suelen to come on the mic and talk a little bit about this idea of when life imitates art, life imitates art, and you think you start to get concerned about, I'm not making art, or I'm not doing enough, and then you get sick. And I know like we all sort of like got sick or had personal issues come up that was somehow mirroring the week or the themes, and there was like so much parallel experiencing taking place. And I know that Suelen and I are definitely connected on sort of like the body slowing us down and making us feel like we're not doing enough. And the distraction or inspiration that is our daily lives and how it mirrors that process our art needs us to go on. I know that these were some of the tensions that appeared in the process for you, Suelen. And how did you find resolution, and how do you conceptualize your experience as being a valid vehicle for knowledge, healing, and creativity to flow? Like even with that making of your piece.
Something appears in God. in your screen, something appears. For me, this process, I don't know how to explain, but I think it was very much about releasing, not because we were focusing around this theme, right? But all the ideas I came up, I had to give up on them at some point. Like the first one with the pads, and then the pumpkin, and then the soup, and then it was a big effort for me to bring things to collective, because I felt that the collective part was more important than my individual part. I was trying all the time to bring people to the collective part of our celebration. And this against my personal life I had this feeling that my personal life was pulling me out of the process, and I was doing my best effort to put myself in this collectiveness thing. I don't know. And at some point, I felt myself stuck in between. And that was the moment that I felt that I was not doing enough or giving enough to the plus. And I start feeling disconnected a little bit. But then I don't know how I connected myself. Do you have feedback?
Is it me?
I don't know. Maybe that microphone.
I'm trying to.
Everything's fine.
It's fine. Okay.
Safe distance. Distance myself.
Well, but anyways, the whole process, I think, together. This is weird to talk about, but I started therapy at the same time. I started this residency, and I started yoga again together with this residency.
Wow.
And somehow I feel that this process supported me more than therapy and more than yoga, or maybe everything worked out in balance in my life. But all the tools you gave us, like responding the prompt, or the breathing, the finding the center, all the tools that we used in our process, I brought to my life. And I used with myself and with others also. Last week I gave a lecture, and I used some of these tools with the students, and it was amazing to see that they respond like we respond. And I don't know, I felt myself again connected to this communal experience, because I don't know how to explain this. I just feel that there is a point in our human beingness, this is a word, I don't know, that connects us all, regardless the cultural background, and we could find a way of building a beautiful ritual with small parts of our different cultural backgrounds, our different spiritual backgrounds and experiences, and somehow I feel fulfilled in this. And well, I don't know, that part of me that thinks that I'm not doing art is still here, because I don't know if I can believe anymore in this conception of art that we are used to, because I connected myself to this other conception of art that I cannot explain through words yet. But I think that everybody who feels it or take part of it understands. And it's not art in the sense of production, of doing artistic product. And I think this process was about this for me.
I'm gonna ask for a short break, because my battery's about to die and we cannot have that. So let me quickly go grab a charger and then we will continue. I'm so sorry for whoever's listening. Our 6 YouTube streamers, hang 10. I'll be right back.
You have a lot, really. I don't know.
Oh wait, we're mic.
I will help you even more.
You guys got to talk to me.
I'm
gonna get drunk. I have to stop.
Why not?
Yeah. Right. Why not?
I mean, where else are we gonna go? Are we still in the live stream? Hi, Mom.
Okay.
I don't know if you're still watching.
Yeah, I'm asking myself if my mom is there. Did she got married?
Will she be upset if you're drinking that?
If what?
If you're drinking that.
My mom doesn't speak in English, so.
She's not going to watch it.
I'll send her the pictures then.
Yes. All right, darlings, she's back. Thank you so much for your patience. And thank you so much for sharing that insight, Suelen. And it's so true, like there's definitely that conflict of, okay, I'm processing my heart things. I mean, it's amazing that you started doing therapy, got back to yoga again, and we're doing this at the same time. That's also like a very like, I know you have a lot of earth matter in your chart. And so that's also very like practical, grounded, like cognizant and systematic approach to addressing the transformations you wish to see in your life, in your creative life, in your spiritual life. And, you know, like I definitely felt those parallels and also the tensions you were seeking to uncover concerning, you know, the anti-racist work you're doing, you know, the museum looting work you've been looking into, and this like poetic, visual, you know, sound layering work that really, like, I think speaks to the density of your experience and observations. And yeah, I'm really inspired by how you are unraveling it all. And you're saying that you haven't quite conceptualized it in words, but I read your words, girl. You totally have. You've like flipped it upside down, like in words, and you've turned it inside out. And yeah, you're just, and you continue to uncover and you continue to reveal, which is something that, yeah, I will always be grateful for, and yeah, really honored to exist in this collective with you. So thank you. Woo, 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 woo. Sailesh, oh my goodness, just like riveting, like honey. The looks. I was watching with my best friend and sister, and they were just like, this is how to elevate your drag. Like, wow. From
the costumes and the theater of it all, just the production of embodying a deity or an imaginative figure. Yeah, it was a beautiful process for me. And just my makeup style, I couldn't have done it without like such a wonderful team behind me. Zoe Lohman, who did my makeup, Don Arantino, who styled me, who like, I literally like showed up to him a week ahead of time being like, I need you to style me, but I'm gonna be in full body blue grease makeup. And he's like, so I'm just gonna have to make you a custom piece. And I'm like, I can't afford that. He's like, well, he's like, we're just gonna have to make one anyway. And like literally like the night before, while my friend Ava is making me peanut butter jelly sandwiches for like the cast and crew, he shows up with this like custom piece he sewed the night before. And it's like, there's so much love that goes behind producing something like this. And that's what I think I'm the most appreciative about, is just like how putting something like this into creation sort of facilitated a process of bringing so many people who've been in the periphery in my life, or actually even just new in my life, into a circle of creation that was quite beautiful.
And definitely like that was reflected in the piece. That attention to detail, and attention definitely for me, it's like the the highest form of love. If you're really present and paying attention. Yeah, I think that was reflected in that work. And so thank you also for, bringing the people you brought on board, and thank you to them for saying yes. Yeah, I think I'm thinking about the conversation we had prior to this residency, and how we connected on this elusive sky friend, but also about the idea of digital ritual and a sense of community and togetherness. We spoke about dating apps and, connecting with people that you know and you don't know, thinking about like the people on the peripheries of your life, or the new people, and how they become then people that are close. And I wonder how the theme of digital intimacy has manifested in your life and with this residency process, and what it's done, because I also know you've been doing a lot of like energy work at home, spending a lot of time at home, getting tired of being alone and at home, like really just being like, I need to go party and sweat and transcend and go on a psychedelic voyage with people. But like just, the manifestation of this isolation. I mean, I'm sure there's many other manifestations, but this one that we've just witnessed tonight, like how has that been for you, and what emerged for you with the ritual you ended up filming and developing for yourself?
I actually have been thinking about this question a lot, because when you look at the technology, look at the internet, for example, right? We use the internet, we use wireless technology. These were all products of World War II. They were weapon systems, right? And there's something about technology that we use to connect today being sort of a portion of the forbidden fruit, of tainted fruit, that like somehow we're using infrastructure that was used to kill people, to perpetuate imperialism. And now we have these new ways of connecting with each other. We're doing this discussion.
We have social media that sort of connects us and allows us to get a view into these people's lives. But even if you look at these corporations that own them, like Facebook was like a product of the Defense Department. Like Instagram is also is being used as surveillance technology. There's these double-edged swords in terms of like how we as individuals have a drive to connect, and how a larger capitalist imperialist infrastructure is trying to co-opt that for disconnection. And I feel like we're always balancing that we're always in this dance of how do we strive towards connection, how do we strive towards learning more about each other, loving each other in ways when we're living in an increasingly disconnected society. And technology is becoming this tool that we can rely on. But we can't forget that there are other tools, that our ancestors, the people who relied on ways of connecting with each other before this technology existed, had ways of transcending timelines, transcending generations, transcending borders, just by on a conversation. I remember my mom on the phone with her mother, and they would send each other's love, and you can feel that. And I think that there's other ways in which we can feel connection that isn't completely reliant on technology. I think technology can facilitate that. But once those connections are made, it's how do we maintain that in a way that not only honors that connection, but also keeps in mind that technology is relative, and it's always changing and it's always evolving. So we're always going to have new mechanisms in which we'll have to facilitate that medium, but it doesn't remove the fundamental desire. And I think at the root of it, it's about how people connect and how people choose to love each other. And what was beautiful about this process is that when we were in our own worlds and doing this sort of sense of being in our homes, trying to do a residency about ancestral practices, and you're in South Africa and we're all over Berlin, Aisha's in Leipzig, but there's still a strong desire to connect over a common idea, a common theme, a common sense of belonging. And then when we finally met in person, we had those things, as you said, earthiness, that sense of earthiness that we connected and we were able to draw together. And now we're dispersed from this residency, and we'll sort of go back into our own lives and our holes. But like at the same time, like it's about how do we maintain those energetic bonds? How do we maintain those energetic loops that we created with each other? And I think that's sort of the new interesting way of looking at this technology, not just using it as a tool, but also thinking about, once I establish this relationship, what am I doing to maintain it? And I think that means being in a society that prioritizes disposability. How do we make ourselves indispensable to each other?
For president.
Did Aisha just say Sailesh for president? Because
No,
Aisha,
that was Suelen.
I still said you got my vote.
I completely agree. I feel that on so many levels. Just technology as a tool, but also connectivity
as the driving force and the consistency. Just remembering a conversation I had with Yin, where we had one of our one-on-one video call check-ins, and we were connecting on how we both have trauma around our throats, around our throat chakras, because of the experiences our grandmothers had with their throat chakras. And we started talking about silence and being silenced. And in that moment, we sort of had to take a step back because we both started feeling really emotional. And then out of nowhere, my phone just like cut the call, and it said on the screen, the temperature of your device is too high. And it just ended the call. And I had to go put my phone in the freezer, and I was like, how rude, but also how real, because that moment was like, you know, we'd like, oops, I'm just getting a call now from my aunt who's probably feeling these conversations.
But like, I think that's the interesting thing is like we view the fundamental like lie that we've all internalized by colonialism is separation, right? We've separated from spirit,
separated from nature, we've separated from each other. And we see technology as sort of immune to that, not immune, as part of that separation. That just because we've created this thing that is literally made from metal or on earth, powered by electricity, just so we use in nature, there is life force that is powering this technology. And somehow we think that it's immune to spirit. And like, I don't believe that at all. I think the technology is another tool in which spirit can exist in and manifests itself in. It's just, are we paying attention?
And are we asking the questions? Are we asking
the right questions about how we can collaborate with this, and rather than being sort of slaves to it and being unconscious to how we can utilize this technology. Like even in your podcast, you talking about lighting sage as a technology because it's opening up portals within you. And I mean, when you read my tarot and you were talking about my patrilineal lineage on my birthday, and boom, my dad calls in the middle of that. So it's just like how about like how open are you to connecting on a level, to connecting in a way that penetrates all the levels, or how curious are you, and are you being guided by a sense to love or a sense to stay in control or to control? I mean, that's very
in terms of how we
not only try to connect with everything around us, but like how are we connecting with ourselves? You know, how are we taking that moment? And I think one of the biggest lessons this pandemic taught me was like, you know, I was like, I don't stop. Like I'm constantly moving, you know, I'm do. And then the pandemic hit and I couldn't do anything. And I had to sit with myself. And that was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do, was just really like, there's nowhere to go other than to face the stillness. And one of the best pieces of advice that I've ever gotten from anybody was a friend ages ago who told me the only way out is through. And like to go through the stillness and understanding what does it have to teach you. And going back to this idea of living in this increasingly technologicalized, digitalized world, how are you taking time for yourself to have that moment of stillness, to internalize what is going on with you? Because the storm is going to be constantly around you, but it's up to you to be where to place yourself in it.
Yes. I completely agree with this, and we could go on and on forever, and I cannot wait to sit around a table with you guys, or to sit on a couch, or to share a floor, so we can get deeper and go further into these really important questions, and sharing how we are sitting in the stillness or struggling to do so. And I think we touched on it, and we're able to access bits of that in our residency process, but let's not let it end now. It's just another opening for us to continue. And I think, Yin, this residency opened up so many portals for you too, particularly the relationship you have with the voice and with silence or silencing. I mean, it was so powerful to witness what you created and the ritual that you shared, and how you worked with sound, how, you know, it was this guttural and visceral and thunderous technological sound with this very delicate choreography, and these flowers and these postures of surrender, and these just like these very delicate processes that you were exploring, but also with the very real reality of like being confronted with silence and confronting your trauma, and the soundscapes and the choreography and the visuals just touched me beyond. I would like to ask you to share a little bit about how your voice has now become a part of your practice after predominantly identifying as an interdisciplinary practitioner with a somatic focus. What resolutions have come about for you in this residency and this ritual performance process? What resolutions, what questions, and voice, like where are you with voice?
I think I'm still quite in the process in ways of, first was through the words, through the free writing prompts, that discovering myself, to allow myself more and more space to just writing more, expressing more, and I can, I'm witnessing myself from a distance to see like, oh my God, I was holding myself back all the time, and I was uncertain of whatever I am, and to have the space to share with each one of others, and to have a mirror with one another was really powerful experience, because I realized I'm not alone, and it's just not me. Often feel silent or often feel voiceless, and I remember like I was trying to avoid to confront this, and then you told me like, I want to hear your voice in the piece, and I feel like until the end I'm still like trying to hide, but my life event kind of bring me to the confrontation, which is I have a conflict with my roommates, 2 roommates, white, and they think they are right, and they like to lecture, and I was just experiencing this anger in me, and that I didn't realize that I can use my voice in a way that silence is powerful. I just like, I'm not talking to you, and that pissed them off. One of the conflict I'm still inside, and also to connect with my deep bellies, like when I exploring voices, that I can feel this pleasure, I can feel this melting, shaking, opening chest. Like whenever we have conversation, whenever we have learned to fly, I feel like I'm purging. I'm still purging. I don't know when this process will end, maybe a lifetime, but I'm so grateful that I know that I'm in the right track, that I'm allowing myself to be. Also to trusting myself, like to let myself speak. Like I feel there's so many times I'm afraid to feel my feelings, even when I'm middle of the artistic process or in the middle of performance, and I will feel like I'm numb, like I'm just so scared. Like there's a part of me so scared and crying all the time and a lot of sorrow and couldn't forgive. Yeah, I'm feeling that part.
Yeah, just holding that.
Oh, I'm hugging you. Oh, you're so powerful. You're so powerful. Mm. Mm. You're breaking down so many barriers. You're transcending so much. We are so grateful to you for your strength, your vulnerability, your honesty, your deep, deep knowing, your infectious belly laughter, and the melting, shaking chest, and your beautiful, beautiful voice, and your poignant silence, and the many lifetimes and the multitudes you contain. You are everything. I am so thankful for you guys. Love you, Yin. Can we breathe together? Can we just like close our eyes and just take some deep breaths together and send them to Yin's direction? And the ground is shaking here too. Okay. How are you feeling, Yin?
Release.
Yay! Yay. And it's gonna keep coming. And it's also this thing of, you know, ritual brings things up, but it doesn't flush whatever comes up down the toilet. You know, it's not like catharsis cannot be escapism. Like, it's about how Sailesh was saying. It's about like sitting in it and sitting with ourselves and facing the truth. The many versions of it is perhaps the most beautiful and terrifying thing. And I cannot thank you enough for coming to this residency and trusting me and sharing everything that you've shared with me and continuing to do so. I'm just moved beyond. I'm moved to exactly where you are right now. And I want to say you could ask me a question, but I'm also really cognizant of the time. And I'm wondering if maybe we can just close this ceremony off with a learn to fly together, and then we can go home. What do you guys think?
Yes, let's do it.
The ancestors. It's the ancestors. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you, Gugu, for bringing us together.
I'll see you guys soon. Literally, like the day at the airport, I'm gonna post the picture in the group. I'm gonna be like, guys, I'm coming home. She's coming back to Earth. She's coming back to Earth. Whatever home means. But this is definitely one of the most, and one of the warmest and most inspiring homes I've experienced. So thank you guys for opening up your hearts to this process and allowing me space in there, and for coming into mine in the ways you have. And I'll see you very, very soon. I'll see you very, very soon. And big love.
Bye.
Bye.